Hello and welcome. My name is Josie. If we have never met before, this is your first time here. Welcome back if you have been here before. This is a podcast all about my making journey, and today it's all knitting. Sometimes I dabble in crochet or sewing, but today it is all knitting. And I have a lot to show you. So let's jump right in. I'm first wearing my Advent wrap by Iris H, I believe. I talked about this extensively in the last podcast, so I will link that here if you want to know more, but it's bringing me so much joy wearing it. It's really cold and frigid here in Indiana today, so I put this on and it's just making me very happy. So yes, I'm so excited to be here. I didn't know if I'd have my baby by now, but baby is still inside. I'm 38 weeks, and so I'm excited to catch up. So I have so much to show you because I kind of went cast on crazy. People talk about nesting when you're pregnant, towards the end of your pregnancy, and I have definitely been doing that. But I've also been like, let's cast on all of my project ideas. Because when baby comes, I don't know what I'm going to want to do, so I want to have all the options. So I have a finished object to show you, and then I have 5 whips to show you. Let's jump right in. So I finished my Mermaid Avenue Socks by Summer Lee. They're a little short. The yarn I used was gifted to me. It's Old Wire Fiber Co. Old Wire Road Fiber Co. And they're classic sock based in Whoville color, so it was a Christmas color. This was kind of like my Christmas socks. But I used the Mermaid Avenue pattern by Summer Lee. I extended the cuff. I use a recommended needle size of US 1, and I did it on 9-inch circulars. But I extended the cuff a little bit and also did 2x2 instead of 1x1. And then I did 4 chart repeats of the pattern, of the Mermaid Avenue pattern. Instead of a heel flap and gusset, I did the shadow wrap heel. And then I immediately just went into stockinette on the whole foot. So I stopped the pattern once I got to the heel. Because honestly, it wasn't very fun to knit. I didn't enjoy knitting the pattern so much. It was kind of fiddly, and yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. So because this is like a slip stitch kind of pattern, she does have you start with a higher number of stitches. I'm not going to give stitch counts just because it was a paid for pattern, but I started with a higher than normal stitch count. And what I'm working on with my socks, what I really want to work on with my socks this year, is finding a recipe that works well for me for vanilla socks. And one thing that I'm noticing with all my socks is they're almost always too big. I have one pair of sock that's ribbed that I designed myself that fits really well, but all the others are a little bit too big and slouchy. And I normally do a 64 stitch cast on in vanilla sock. So I want to go down either in needle size or stitch count. I want to try both. But so starting with a larger stitch count than 64 for this pattern, which is what she recommends, because a slip stitch doesn't allow it to be as stretchy. They're just a little bit too big. When I relax my foot, this kind of comes off of my leg. So yes, but I still love them. They still make me very happy. They're very Christmassy. I have both here, but yeah. it was a fun pattern. I'm super glad. I've been admiring the pattern for a while, so I'm super glad that I finally did it. But I probably won't knit them again just because it wasn't very fun to knit in the end. But okay, that's my only finished object. Now let's get to whips. And let's just start with the other pair of socks. So I got a yarn this month in January. Yes, this was for January, and it was pineapple yarn. I talked about them, her, in my last podcast. I got her new base. I've never ordered any yarn from her before, but I got her new base. This is Nala sock. It's 80% merino, 20% nylon, and it's a little bit, she describes it as being plump. It's a two ply, and it's pretty plump. So this is just a vanilla sock pattern that I'm doing to try and figure out my gauge and what I like and things. So let me show you. I have split the yarn into two 50-gram balls because I'm really excited about knitting them in tandem. That's like one thing that I really want to try this year with my socks. As I figure out a recipe, I want to knit them in tandem, so that way, I don't know, I think I could enjoy that a lot more. So I'm using US 1 because I have two US 1.5s 9-inch circulars, and I have two US 1s 9-inch circulars, but I only have one US 0. So this time I'm going with like adjusting my sock recipe. I'm going with the same needle size, US 1, but reducing stitch count. So I have my two cuffs done. They're so cute. I love little cuffs. Look how pretty that yarn is knitting up. So yes, I did 56 stitches on US 1 2x2 rib, and I did 15 rounds. And I was going to try 60 stitches first to see how that fit on my foot. But because this is a plumper yarn, I went ahead and reduced it again by 4 stitches, so 50. What is so special about these little socks is that I plan on these being my hospital socks when I give birth. So I have the cuffs done, and I'm going to wait to start the stockinette until I'm in labor and we have the baby, we're hanging out with the baby. I do not expect to get a lot done on these, but I think it would just be that much more special to have a project to help me relax if I need it, take my mind off what's happening if I need it, and I just think it would be so special to have these, to have this memory, to have this knitted memory of my son being born. So these were really fun to knit. The yarn is so soft, and I just love the colors of the yarn so far. So these I'm not working on until baby comes, so you may not see an update on them until well after baby's here, but I can talk more about that at the end, more life updates at the end. So those are my only sock whips, and like I said, I'm not working on them, so well, past the ribbing. Okay, let me show you the other item that you have seen, which is the Cozy Comfort Throw. This I'm using leftover Advents. I got the Leap of Faith Advent this past year, 2024 Leap of Faith Advent, and loved it. And so I'm using leftovers from that, and then Amber from A Lovely Yarn sent me a homemade Advent calendar as well, and so I'm using those yarns with my leftover Advent yarns from Leap of Faith to make the Cozy Comfort Throw. So let me show you how I've done. You see the marker down there, the red marker? So I got a good amount done. I just love those colors. They make me so happy. I was doing really well. I was actually doing 1 mini a day, and all the minis are around 10 grams, around. Some are 6, some go up to like 12, but they're around 10 grams. I was doing 1 mini a day, and then I ran out of my yarn. So I'm holding all the minis double with Knit Picks Stroll Fingering Bear Undyed. I'm holding them all double with that, and then I ran out of my bear yarn. I didn't know I was so close to the end, and I had to wait for more to come. So yes, while I'm talking, I'm going to move this up. So I'm holding it double, and I'm just following the pattern exactly. Besides, I am slipping purlwise with yarn in front. The first stitch of every row. And then the other thing I'm doing is there's no wrong side or right side, because I'm just knitting until I run out of the mini, and then if it's like, I don't really care if it's the wrong side or right side, I just start knitting. So there's, the garter transitions on both sides, but I feel like you just really can't tell because it's so like marled and fun and colorful, and yeah. So those are the two things. I have not been like managing my ends or like weaving them in as I go. I've just been letting them, yeah, you can see those, right? Maybe like down here. I've just been like dropping them as I go. But I was watching Knitty McPurley podcast. I've just found her recently, and I love her. I have so many of her podcast saved when I'm in postpartum, so that I can just have fun with her podcast. But yeah, so I've been loving her podcast, and I saw someone on her channel recommended the clasp weft join. And it looked so easy, and so I tried it with this last mini transition from to this orange color. And so far, you can't really tell. It kind of like doubles the yarn. So instead of holding like 2 strands double because you're holding the tail, it's like 3 strands thickness. But it's so marled that you can't really tell. So if you've had experience with the clasp weft join, let me know, because if it doesn't, like if it comes undone, I don't want to do it the whole blanket. But it was so easy that I'm like, I'm gonna try it for a few minis and see how it works. But yeah, this project just brings me so much joy. This is like my socks, I guess, right now. It's bigger than socks, but it's just so easy and brings me so much joy. Look at those colors. Okay. So that's my Cozy Comfort Throw blanket. I'm just grabbing colors at random that I think look good together. No rhyme or reason besides, oh, I just used a speckled, I want to grab a tonal, or that was just a really bright color, I want to grab a darker color. So that's all the planning that's going into that blanket, and it's so much fun. Okay, new projects. This is a frogged project. I was working on the Turtle Dove shawl, or Turtle Dove scarf by Sari Nordlund. That was on my needles for a while, and you haven't seen it in a few months because I hadn't worked on it in a few months. And this is a gift knit for someone. She does not know that it's coming, so there's no pressure. But I knew that come postpartum, I would not touch it at all because it's just too complicated. You needed the chart. It's beautiful, but I wasn't enjoying knitting it, and so I knew come postpartum there was just no way I was going to touch it. So I decided, I frogged it, wrapped the yarn around my 2 cakes. This is a fingering weight that I'm holding double, It's Passion Yarns. And their Yak Love base, which is 70% merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon, deep purple. So I'm holding the fingering weight double to get DK, which is what I did for the Turtle Dove shawl too, but I'm doing the simple thing, little scarf I'll write it on the screen. And yeah, it's just going a lot better. Like, this is something that I'll be able to pick up postpartum if I want. And that's what I want. I want to have options. So, yeah, not too much progress. I just started this yesterday. The cast on was a little fiddly, but she gives a video tutorial, and once you watch the video tutorial, there was no problem. And yeah, and it's a free pattern. So I'm excited for it. The only modification I made is I only have 100 grams, so 50 grams of DK weight. So I wanted it to be longer. So instead of increasing every 4 rows, which is what the pattern writes in the free pattern, she talks about how if you want a longer scarf, to increase maybe every 6 to 8 rows. So I'm increasing every 6 rows. But that's it. I'm following her pattern exactly. It's super easy, very mindless, which is what I want at this point in life, especially with this like a scarf. And yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I'm using recommended needle size and everything like that. Okay. I have 2 more projects to show you. I'll do my Felix cardigan. So the yarn I'm using for my Felix cardigan is from Fiber Seed, Sprout Worsted. So it is 90% wool with 10% nylon, and the colorway is Weathered. It's a very beautiful color. I'm really excited about it. I bought this yarn for the Felix cardigan specifically. I just had not cast on with it yet. I'll show you. I bought 300 gram hanks, and so these are 200 grams that I'm alternating because they're hand dyed. But I just love this. I've been watching a lot of Kim Knits. She talks a lot about dyeing yarn, and I think I'd mentioned last episode that I'm excited to dye yarn for another project again, and I'll show you some yarn for that of what I'm thinking at later on in acquisitions. But I've been watching a lot of her videos because they're so educational and they're very inspiring, and she talks about glazing yarn a lot, and I feel like this is a glazed yarn because there's just so many tones, and you can see like the plies underneath aren't really dyed as well, and it's just so pretty. So I think having a cardigan out of this would be beautiful. But yes, I've heard that the Felix cardigan knits up very fast. It's like this. And so far it has. I'm through the raglan increases, and yeah, there you go, you can see them. And I think I have 1 more inch to knit, which on my gauge is 4 more rows, I think, before splitting for sleeves. So it's so close. It's a very open, loose gauge. I swatched, and I think I was 1 stitch off, or like half a stitch or something, but I couldn't be bothered to like swatch again, and it's super wash yarn, so I know it will grow a little bit, but I was happy with my gauge. So I'm using her needle size, I'm following the pattern exactly, and so far it's written very well. I'm just excited for it. So not too much to say about that, especially because there's no sleeve, so it's kind of hard to see what it looks like, but I am loving the yarn. The yarn It's been a lot of fun to knit with, and it's just so beautiful. I think it'll be a really pretty cardigan. And then my last very impromptu cast on was the Fosette by Knitting McPurley, who I've already talked about. This has been something that I have seen and admired, but had no idea how I would wear practically. But I was just, I don't know, something about this point in my pregnancy. I'm just like, I want all the projects on so I can pick what I want. And I really have been loving color lately, and so I was looking in my stash, which is right up there, and I saw a navy. I saw this blue, and I had this pink. And I thought, those could look really good together in a Fosette. So I went for it. So this navy is Cascade Heritage fingering. I'm holding it double, and I believe it is navy. It's stash yarn. This one, I have the tag here. Let me find it. This one is, oh no. Okay, yes. This one is a Knitter's Homestead. This was given to me by Amber. So I don't know anything about this dyer. Amber from A Lovely Yarn. But the colorway is called Tea Time. It was a sock set. And I just saved the purple mini for, I just put it up there in my stash. But this is fingering sock yarn, 75-25. And again, I'm holding it double because the pattern is DK. And then this one, also from Amber. This is from Tailored Fibers. And it is 100% superwash merino. So no nylon, but it is DK, so I'm holding it single. This one, I started to wind it up, and I got a little scared because there were resists where the yarn dyer had put ties so that the yarn wouldn't get tangled. The ties were too tight, and it created some like white resists. And you can see that here, like white, those like really white spots. And I'll put up a picture. I took a picture just because it was just so like, oh my gosh, I hope this knits up well. Like, you know, like it didn't look intentional. It looked like a mistake, I guess. Maybe it was. I don't mean to be harsh on that dyer at all, maybe. But I was just really wanting to have a project with beautiful colors on, and so I went with it anyway. And let me show you how far I've come. I think the colors look so good together. I have split for sleeves. Yeah, this has just been so much fun. It's been a, like, just, you just want to knit to the next thing over and over and over, and it has been so much fun. I'm getting a little bit blown out, but I think the color's pretty accurate from my screen. I'm blown out, but I think this is accurate. So I just finished this pretty like texture pattern. And I have one more colorwork section, and then I will be knitting the body with this. This is my main like body color. So I'm just praying that the resists, that the white spots look good in the body. Yeah, it just makes me, this has just made me so happy. So fun. I don't know how I'll wear this necessarily, but it's been a blast. I don't have anything this colorful in my wardrobe, I should say, although besides my Advent wrap, but I also can't really try it on as I go because I am 38 weeks pregnant, and nothing in my body is a normal size, or my normal size. So I just picked my pre-pregnancy size. I can't try it on as I go. So yeah, I'm just hoping that it fits normally. So we'll see, but it's been fun. I will say, before I split for sleeves, the colorwork section was, well, am I out of focus? The colorwork section was really hard on my hands. I couldn't knit for super long periods. A break was just all I needed to do it, like all I needed, but yeah. But once I split for sleeves, then it went a lot better, so it makes me so happy. Yes, so that's the Fosette. That's my, or Fosette, I think. Completely impromptu. I was really inspired by Emily from Woldenburn. You know who you are, who told me to go check her out during Vlogmas, and I so appreciate your suggestion because I have loved watching her. And she has a few, and I saw them during Vlogmas, and it was just the final push that I needed. And she has a Fosette kind of diary, video diary of making one of hers. And so, yeah, I watched that, and it was the final push I needed, or encouragement I needed to be like, yes, just try it. And I had all those yarns in my stash that were just sitting there. I didn't know what to do. But then once I saw them together in that Fosette, I couldn't not see them. So it's been such a fun project. But that's all my whips. Yeah, 5. 1 I'm not working on until the baby comes, but I've never been happier to have so many whips surrounding me. So I think it's just, and I'm not usually like that. I'm usually let's crank it out. Let's get one on the needles and let's crank it out. Maybe having 2 with like a sock or something, but at this point, I'm like, I love them all. Yeah, I wanted to show you so I was talking about my desire to dye some yarn for a sweater, and what has inspired me are these. So I found Lay Family Yarn podcast during Vlogmas, I think, and I saw her Dahlia sock set and just fell in love and was like, I really want those. They're so beautiful. Or, sorry, this is not. So the Dahlia sock set, yes, I fell in love, but I ended up getting the minis, obviously. I did not get the sock set, but like there's this speckled one, and then all the others are pretty tonal. So yeah, there's that orange, and then that brighter color, this pink and plum. They're just beautiful. And what I cannot stop picturing is a sweater, like striping these in a sweater. I think a light gray would look stunning because I think it would show off the speckled yarn really well, and then all of these would just go beautifully, I think. Maybe a beige, maybe like a latte color, very light latte color. But I'm thinking I would love to dye like the background yarn for a sweater, and then use these as stripes. Probably just in like a simple raglan. I think that would be so much fun. I think it would be really special. But again, this isn't gonna happen anytime soon. Definitely won't happen before baby comes, and probably well into postpartum before I feel comfortable dyeing some yarn again, playing with trying to make some either very light gray, just neutral colors that I think would look really beautiful with that. So yeah, this is my only acquisition for, oh no, and the pineapple yarn too was an acquisition that I showed you, but this was my acquisition technically for December. It just came in January, but aren't they just beautiful? So pretty. That's it. It wasn't too long, even though I I had a lot to show you, a lot of new projects to show you. But yeah, life update is just I'm 38 weeks pregnant. I'm just waiting for baby to get here. And I feel it. I'm having mostly bad days now instead of good days. A lot of pain in my hips and belly and back, and yes, tired just all the time. Can't sleep through the night. So I'm not to the point where I'm so uncomfortable that I'm like, baby, come. But yeah, I would not be upset if he came before 40 weeks. That's for sure. My first son came 37 weeks, so he came early. So I'm in uncharted territory with the second one. But yeah, otherwise can't complain. I'm having a lot of fun with all of my projects as I just wait for baby to come. Our house is ready. You could maybe even see the pack and play over here that we have for baby down here. But it's crazy. It's gonna happen. And I will post probably a picture on the community tab here on YouTube, just so you guys know that if I'm not around for a few months, why. I'm hoping to still be able to, after watching Emily from Woldenburn, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I was really inspired by how she makes content with her young babies around. And I even thought about maybe not doing full podcasts, but just updating on some projects every once in a while. But I have no idea. I have no idea how postpartum will look. So I'm hoping it won't be a very long break, especially if I'm able to do more casual videos instead of longer sit-down ones. But we'll see. So yeah, it was great catching up with you. Maybe I'll see you again before baby gets here, but no matter what, I will post, an update on my community tab and also Instagram if you follow me there. But it was wonderful to see you again. I hope that if you are also in very frigid cold weather, that you are staying warm and that your projects are bringing you a lot of joy and happiness. But yeah, we will talk very soon, hopefully. Bye.